Hello Ponderers, this is Steph Smart here and you are watching SmartPonders. So I'm super excited because this is the first video that kind of follows on from that short introductory video. And basically I thought what I would do is record myself recording the podcast, which might not make for brilliant viewing. However, I want to make sure that we're catering for everyone, so regardless of how you like to engage with the SmartPonders content, so whether it's you like to just read the blogs, whether it's you like to listen to the podcast, or indeed look at my smiling face when I'm reading them out to you, the options are there for you. So it might be a bit clunky today because I am very much a beginner into all of this. So I hope you'll be patient with me, and obviously along the way the things I learn I will share with you because that's how it all works, right? So basically I have my webcam set up. I am shortly going to start recording for my podcast, and then we'll kind of take it from there. So first of all, thank you all for coming along and watching, and as always I appreciate any feedback, any comments you want to give. I very much want to build a community around the stuff that I do and the stuff that I believe in, and I hope you will come along for that journey too. So today's podcast, video if you will, is an audio recording of the blog called Is Failing Becoming the Failsafe? So sit back, relax, and enjoy the dulcet tones of my voice as I take you through the blog. We'll take it from there. So over the past 5 years, I've seen a big change in the attitudes of students and the relationship that they have with failing and failure. So today's ponder is going to try and make sense of what that change is, why it might be, and consider what we can do about it. So I first started lecturing back in 2017, and most of the classes at the time that I taught were part of the HNC, so the Higher National Certificate in Acting and Performance. At the time we had 2 cohorts of 15 students in each class. And although there was no real science behind deciding, what students went into what class, there was a clear energy that each class presented. So one class was generally quite shy but eager to learn, and the other class was energized and confident and really comfortable with the learning process. And both classes, generally speaking, had a fear of failing, and especially failing assessments. Now, for those of you that are not aware, with the HNC and indeed other qualifications with the SQA, so the Scottish Qualifications Authority, students are actually allowed 2 attempts for every assessment that they do. So therefore, if a student does bomb their first attempt, it's not the end of the world. They get some feedback, they take that on board, you have a discussion with your lecturer, with your teacher, and then you come back all singing, all dancing for attempt number 2. And usually that's the point that you pass. So in the process of the attempt, if you get to the second attempt and they fail, that's when they failed the learning outcome, and as a result they failed the module. So even with these multiple attempt approaches in place, the students were really being controlled by fear. This fear of failing. And so my thoughts are sort of split 50-50 on this one. So I think about my current learning journey. So I'm doing a postgrad qualification, so a TQFE, teaching qualification in further education. And of course I don't want to fail, just like the students. But I'm also not envisaging failure. And could this be where the difference is? And I will come back to this later. Because the other side of me, I actively encourage failure. I think about the work that I do in a rehearsal studio, for example, building character or rehearsing for play. You have to have moments of failure because it's through the things not working that you find out what does work. And so the principle still applies here. And as they say, fail is the first attempt in learning. Might be cheesy, but I love it. So now, 5 years on, I think there's a clear shift with the student mindset. And to clarify here, I'm making generalisations from experience and absolutely acknowledge that this is not every student. But the truth is that the number of students who are being affected by fear and failure is increasing. For example, one of the classes I have, there's some of those students that, they're not showing up for assessments. And is that because fear? Is it fear that's the driving force? Or is it some form of expectation that they've set themselves as a form of self-preservation? And what I mean by that is, has failure become the fail-safe? Have students set their expectations of themselves so low intentionally so as not to be disappointed? A mindset of, well, if I don't try, then I can't fail. But here's the thing, you can fail, and with that attitude, sadly, you more than likely will. And I don't want that for them. And I know that probably deep down they don't want that either, but it's that fear that's getting in the way. And I want them to be able to see what I see, which is potential. So thinking about the reasons of why students fail, I've narrowed it down to these 3 main reasons. It's not even 3 main reasons either. It's 5. 5 reasons. So number 1 is that it's a lack of confidence or lack of belief in themselves. They think that they're not able to pass, so then they don't try. Number 2, which is kind of similar, is it a case of lack of preparation? So whether it's not managing time or not engaging with the work, not having done the work, they then choose to avoid the assessment. Because again, it's a case of, if I'm not ready to pass and I'm not comfortable enough in myself to try, I'm going to fail anyway, so why not bother? Is it number 3, fear of embarrassment? So could it be that the student has done the preparation but is so scared to get it wrong they avoid it altogether? A form of self-sabotage in a way, which is not always a conscious decision. Or is it number 4, that it's a lack of interest? Is it that they've signed up to do something, but along the way they've realised it's not for them? And rather than admit that, which is absolutely fine to do, by the way, they detach from reality, which is the assessments. Or is it number 5, capacity? Is it that there are extenuating factors that they are dealing with or not sure how to deal with that's monopolising their mental capacity, and therefore they can't engage? This extends to things like the impacts of things on their mental health. And so, of course, there are many other reasons that could be at play. However, my primary observation that I've made is that the students won't talk about what's going on. My opinions on this. Number 1, a problem shared is a problem halved. I can guarantee you, 9 times out of 10, that you will feel better if you let someone in. Number 2, if you don't tell people what's going on, no one knows that you need help. And I appreciate that asking for help can be one of the hardest things to do. I'm very much guilty of it myself in the past. And I'm not saying that you have to tell people your life story, but at least let them in a little. Let them know that you need help. Number 3, be accountable and honest, both with yourself and those around you. If you haven't done the work, admit to that. Own that decision. It's the one that you've made. So now learn from it. And number 4, if you are struggling, take the help that's offered to you. It's all well and good everyone else trying to help you, but you need to try and help yourself too. And again, that can be really hard to do. So failure has become a dirty word over the years, and yet it's one of the most human responses that we have. Think about it. When you were a toddler learning to walk, you don't give it one shot and then decide it's not going to happen. You stand, you wobble, you fall. You repeat. You stand, you wobble, you regain balance, you stand. You lean forward, you fall. It goes on and on. But at the end of it, you learn to walk. You didn't give up. And all through your childhood, you've tried to learn things, made mistakes, failed, then learned the new thing. Fundamentally, it's how we learn. Now, as that same person who learned to walk, you can learn something new again. So, viewers or listeners or indeed readers, let's work towards not accepting failure as the failsafe. Let's not accept that it's a given that we're going to fail. And let's work at being honest with ourselves. Speak up when something isn't working. And, don't admit defeat before the first try. After all, it's not the failure that's important, but it's what we do after it that counts. And so this has been a Smart Ponders. Thank you for joining me, and I would love to know what your thoughts are, so feel free to drop me a line in the comments, and I will see you in the next video.